I never dreamed that somebody like the Statler brothers would come along, and they were just bigger than life back in Virginia. We knew them, but we knew of them, but we didn't. I never thought I'd even meet one of them, much less be able to.
So how did that process begin? How did the introduction happen, and then when the question come to say, Jimmy, we'd like to have you join the band?
Well, like I said, I was playing 6 nights a week, had in clubs, had 2 daytime jobs, and it was Thanksgiving 1981. I was off the night before Thanksgiving and Thanksgiving Day, and the next night, and I was asked by some friends of mine to come sit in and jam, of all things, jam with some friends, and I had a girlfriend at the time, and I said. She said, well, what are we going to do with you? You got some time off? I said, I'm going to go up and jam with some friends of mine. You're going to what? I said, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I just had this, there's like something inside of me saying, you got to go, you have to go. And I went that night, and Lou DeWitt was there. And Lou DeWitt, which tenor singer for the Statler brothers, I listened to him on the radio, and every time I listened to him, I sang his part, and I just was a big fan. And we met that night at a place called Wintergreen, Virginia. There was an old local ski resort up there, and we sang together. We sang some Roy Orbison stuff. We sang some, John Denver. We even sang some Statler Brothers songs. And I just got to know him a little bit. And after that night, I thought, well, it's great. I got to meet one of my heroes. I'll probably never hear from him again. And then right after Christmas that year, Lou was going to have to be out for surgery because he had Crohn's disease. And like I said, I didn't know that he suffered from that at the time. And he told Harold, Phil, and Don, he said, I'm going to have to be out for about 6 months. He said, and they said, well, you got any ideas about who's going to fill in for you? Because we got these dates, and we got to meet these dates. And I was the first name out of his mouth. And he said, well, I met this kid from just across the mountain. He's not that far away. He said, his name's Jimmy Fortune. He said, if you guys give him a try, he said, I think he could cut it if you want him to do it. And they had lined up, called Nashville, because they figured surely the first guy walking the door ain't gonna be the guy,
Right.
So they lined up all these artists here in Nashville to come and audition, and so I went over and I met them. I was the first one in the door. I met Phil first, and then I met Don, and then Harold, and and it was they told me what was going on, and they said, how about I told them a little bit about myself and everything. They said, well, how about we go, Harold said, well, why don't we go to our house, my house, and we'll get around the piano and sing a little bit just to see what it sounds like. And I'm driving to Harold's house thinking, there's, if this doesn't even work out, I went to Harold's house and I thought, man, this is going to be something I can tell my children and my grandchildren one of these days. And so we sang, the first song we sang was Amazing Grace around his piano. And I remember singing with him, and the blend was there, But I had been working with so much that I was I had gotten sick, and I weighed about 120 pounds, and I had just been working myself in the ground, and I wasn't singing up to par, at the time, and I knew that. But we sang, and I could hear the blend, I could hear that the blend was there. And so they said, well, we're going to Nashville. They said, we're going to try out some other people. They said, it's going to take about 2 weeks. And he said, we'll get back with you and let you know something. So I went out the door, went back to work where I was working in Charlottesville in Virginia. And I was just telling everybody about what had happened, and I was happy. I mean, I'm like, I said, I doubt I got the job, but hey, I got to sing with them, and everybody was like, man, that's great, So about a week goes by, I get a call from Harold at my job in Charlottesville, and he says, you think you can fly down here to Nashville? And we've kind of recorded with some of these people, and we didn't really get to record with you. We just kind of want to hear what it sounds like if we record, And I never had flown or never been anywhere and anything like that. So I can write a book, which I am writing a book on all this, because everything, its own chapter. I mean, this would have its own chapter because of me. Everything I went through to get there and everything. I almost missed my flight. It was the day after Air Florida when the plane went down in Washington, D.C. and killed all those people, and everybody was kind of like on edge, and and everything. And I was sitting in Pittsburgh when they were pushing snow off the wing of this airplane when I was getting ready to take off up there. And this guy, and I'm kind of humming and tapping my toes, and this guy next to me says, "Man," he said, "why are you so happy when they're shoveling snow off of this thing after what happened yesterday?" I said, "Man," I said, "do you know who the Statler brothers are?" He said, "Well, yeah, they're like my favorite group." I said, "Well, I'm going to Nashville to audition for the Statler brothers." He said, "You got to be kidding me." He's like, he stood up on the plane and said, "He's going to Nashville to audition for the Statler brothers." He said, "Let's get this thing off the ground." And everybody's like hollering and yelling, you know. And so everybody's like happy, you know. So we fly in Nashville, and I got off the plane. They took me right to a studio, to Young and Sound downtown.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I never had seen a town as big as Nashville, and I was just really taken with it, you know. And we pulled up right to the studio, get right out of the car, walk right in. They said, they're like, you walk right into the studio and the door, and there's a microphone, and everybody's sitting there, you know. Jerry Kennedy, the Statler brothers, and are back in the room, and they come out and say hey, and it's like, okay, turn it on, start singing. And so they did, and when they did, Jerry Kennedy, he told me this later on. He said we've been trying out people, and he said it was really getting frustrating because the blend just wasn't there. And he said, as soon as I heard you sing, he said, I just looked at him and said, that's it right there. And he said that, and they hired me that evening for 6 months. It was temporary, actually.
Right.
And Lou was going to come back in July that year, and he did come back for about a week, and then he came to me and said, you know, it's been going so well, you've done such a good job. He said, I don't think I can do the road like this anymore as much as they want to. He said, would you like to be a full-time member of the Statler Brothers? And I said, well, I'd be an idiot to turn this down. And so I became a full-time member for 21 years till they decided to quit. I told them, I said, I'll be here until you guys want to stop, and I did that.
Wow.
So,